Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews. Before I get into the spoiler review, I do have a couple things to say. So, don't click off just yet if you haven't seen the episode. First off, I am lifting the objective cap to this show. And there's a couple of reasons why. One, this show has actually grown in quality. Two, this show has actually, while still a ripoff of Karen Travis's Null Arcs, or how the Bad Batch basically are, it has evolved into an area where they are no longer acting within some of the purview of what the Bad Batch is, or of what the Null Arcs were. The Bad Batch basically, essentially, has grown into their own thing. And therefore, I'm not seeing the parallels, except for the obvious parallels. So I am lifting the objective cap. So the 8.5 is no longer the cap. There is no cap because this actually has surpassed it. I'm not saying that the quality has surpassed the Republic Commandos. Hell no, that will never happen. The Republic Commando and the Null Arcs compared to Bad Batch is far superior. But now, I do want that clarified. Also, anybody who continues to call Omega a Mary Sue after watching this episode, honestly, I think you need your heads checked. Because you're hating for hatred's sake, and that really says a lot about your quality as a YouTuber. And yes, I fucking just said that. If you want to at me, I'm not specifying anyone in particular. So if you want to at me, you're only calling yourselves out. Anyway, let's get on to the episode 8 reunion review. Full spoilers ahead, you've been warned. As I said before we got into this, Omega's not a Mary Sue. You see, Wrecker is teaching her explosives and how to disassemble and disarm an explosive. He then gives her 10 seconds to disarm an explosive. She tries and fails. And, what we know about Mary Sue's, they're perfect. They don't fail. They get the job done no matter what. What has Omega done consistently throughout the 8 episodes that we have seen her in? She has failed. She messes up. She's not perfect. So yeah, anybody who continues to be on that hill that she's a Mary Sue, you need your heads examined. And I do like how she fails because that makes her character more relatable. So yeah, to all the SJWs out there, I can relate to the kid. Because when I was a kid, I didn't get shit done. I didn't get shit perfectly done. I was fallible. Well, I can actually relate to somebody who is female. Woo! Amazing, isn't it? But I also like how Wrecker tricks her out with the smoke bomb, because that is what the thing was that she was working on. He's like, I'm not crazy. It's like, yeah, actually you kind of are. I mean, teaching her about explosives, but these are things that I actually find are interesting. Because I've known some military people who have taught their kids some of the trade, so to speak. Now, no, they have not taught them explosives, but they have taught them survival skills. That is something that is actually more common than most people think, where they teach their kids survival skills so that if the need arises and the parents aren't there to protect them, they have a better chance than most, of being able to stay calm and handle themselves. So yeah, Omega being taught these skills, learning how to shoot the weapons, and having her own weapon, it's great. It's a very fatherly thing that the Bad Batch does. Now, this story basically puts the Bad Batch back on the Empire's radar, and instead of following the Kaminoans' plea and directive of bringing back Clone Force 99 alive, the Empire doesn't care. They're like, we have no more interest in your interests. We are doing things our way. And they're like, Clone Force 99? We have no more interest in them. Wipe them out. Or take a unit and wipe them out. And so Crosshair is back in the game. So when Crosshair shows up, he's like, they're jamming or we can't get anything on them. Our systems, or there's too much atmospheric jamming to our systems. Or interference. He's like, you're being jammed. They know we're coming. And so the next thing that they do, now while they're in between this part and the next part, there's a logistical error. They're like, well, what do we do? And sorry, I had to stand up for a second. And they're like, well, we're gonna have to tap into their comms and we'll take alternate routes. And while they're flashing their lights, they're like, somebody's coming. And so they pull their light back. And this is shortly after, like 2 seconds after they pull their light away, these troopers are coming down the area. I'm like, you're telling me that those troopers did not see see the light? That would have tipped me off that there was somebody in these corridors with us. So that is an objective flaw in this show. And that tells me that there is a lot wrong with this show. Which basically I'm talking about throughout the show, because there are logistical errors, some of which I have gone through in my previous reviews. Now, in this episode, that is one logistical error that really derails the logic of this episode. But I do like how the episode does go further. Now, objectively, again, this is a 9 out of 10. Meaning, normally that kind of small logistical error would probably get a 0.5 off. But because of it it affects the whole story, in essence, of this episode, it gets a full point off. That was a bad error that they made. From a logistical standpoint and from any common sense standpoint. Yeah, you get a full point off. Now, the rest of the episode actually is very well done. Crosshair knew that they would tap into the comms, so he leads them, or he basically tells or plays on the comm and has them, or predicts where they'll go, and he does it very well because, well, he was part of their unit. So he would know where they would go. Now, Crosshair has a special hatred for Omega. He actually wants her dead. He's like, target the kid. And that doesn't work out because, well, the Bad Batch planned something behind their backs and set off one of the artillery cannons and collapses the whole deck. And so they go down to the ion engine to escape that way, but Crosshair predicts that again. Crosshair is very easily the most intelligent next to Tech when it comes to the Bad Batch. And he's going to try flushing them out with the ion engine booting up, or by booting up the ion engine. But he ends up getting a lot of ion burn and ion wash right to his face. That's going to fuck him up a little, which it does, and I absolutely love how it does, because it shows that these clones are not super clones, and they are fallible, which has been shown in previous episodes as well. Now, when Hunter and Omega get split up from their efforts to get away from Crosshair, blowing up the engine bay, or blowing up that engine cylinder, they get to their ship. Now, the Kaminoans said that they need to send another bounty hunter, one more reliable than the last. I'm like, there's only a couple bounty hunters that I can think, but the second but the first one that comes to mind is Cad Bane. Who shows up but Cad Bane? I'm like, well done. You actually send somebody that would actually most like have the best chance of succeeding. He wouldn't have succeeded against the entire Bad Batch, but against one of them, Hunter only, oh yeah, he would succeed. And he does succeed. He guns down Hunter. Now, because the Bad Batch's armor actually is of a higher quality than most clone armor, Hunter thankfully can, or luckily can take a direct laser bolt or blaster bolt to the chest and live. Or it's just going to put him out for a little bit. And so, yeah, Omega gets taken by Cad Bane. And I'm like, whew. Now, Tito. How Tito keeps on somehow being revived. I can only guess that Tito being revived all these numerous times is because, well, I'm guessing it's because Cad can just get another droid of that particular design and have have a backup of his memory implanted into that one. Otherwise, if that is not the case, which they better explain how Tito was fucking alive because his ass got blown up in the Jedi Temple. Then there was that other one. So yeah, there's a lot of continuity errors. I'd love to know how that droid keeps on coming back. So yeah, there's problems, but I'm hoping that there will be explanations to these problems. Now, objectively, this is about a 9 out of 10. Subjectively, it's about a 9.5 out of 10. Showgoer, it's a 10 out of 10. I'm not going to shill for Disney, but I am going to give credit where credit is due. This episode of Bad Batch was very well done. It was very well done, except for that one huge logistical error of the light being shown, and then 2 seconds later, the clone troopers are coming down that same freaking corridor. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, but they would have noticed that light. But anyway, folks, that is going to be the review. I thought this episode was well done. And if you enjoyed this review, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of the 8th episode of Bad Batch? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know all your thoughts. Anyway, folks, stay tuned for tonight. We got another Star Wars Versus stream. We got Mara Jade, Nerd with the Cigar Kate, and Riot Kitty joining. Hopefully 2 others will be able to join. They'll get back to me today, hopefully. And yeah, hope to see you all there. It's going to be 9:30 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, Ahsoka versus Mara Jade. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. Stay humble.